So for those of you who haven't had the chance to look at maps, we need to talk about that for a second, okay? Um, and you really did need to, or sorry, not maps. I say maps, but that's what they're called in Java. In Python, they're called dictionaries, and in other languages, they're called associative arrays. Some places are called hash maps, hash tables, all the same, referring to the same thing. So essentially, this is the whole welcome to maps where the indices are made up and the values don't matter. This is what it is. So with and it all stems from the problem of what if I wanted to if I gave you a document, okay? What if I gave you a file and I asked what was the most common letter in that file? That would be a bit tricky to write. You'd think if you wanted to do it efficiently and just do a single loop rather than having to nest it for it to count what letter, essentially what you'd be doing is you'd be creating one list you'd have to go through that file twice. Once to create a list with all the letters in it, and then you'd have to make another array with another list with all the counts of each of those letters, and they'd have to be at the same indices. Maps basically neatly clean that problem up. Maps work kind of dictionaries. Yeesh. Dictionaries work basically the same way. So rather than doing brackets, we do curly braces for a dictionary. Okay? And for a dictionary, what we do is that basically we can say any index we want, and I went into this in the videos, any index that we want. So I could say, hey, for, and then I could put in any value I want. Hello. Now, these aren't indices when we do dictionaries. This is what we call key and what we call value. So basically I say, hey, if you ask for 4, I'm going to give you hello back. If you ask for 3, I'm not going to give you anything back because you didn't define a relationship, a mapping. Does that make sense? So if I define a mapping now, I can say 3 is world. I can print out D and we can see hello and world there, right? Does that make sense? So I basically can create whatever indices in whatever order I want. I can also use whatever I want over here. Apple is equal to yum. Doesn't matter the index, the type of I can use anything as a key, pretty much. So now if I ask for, so it uses the same exact notation you would use for a list. Make sense? Sorry, not yum, because yum is a key. I should have done D, hello, apple. Right, because that's the key I set up and the value was yum. All right. So again, hopefully you took a look at the videos before today. If not, today will probably be a bit confusing. So again, I've linked the exercise we are doing today in the chat. So go ahead and click on it. It is the Roman numerals exercise from our textbook. Okay. So here we took this. Okay, I will go ahead and copy, paste, boom, we're good. Okay, so here's a picture that the author of this textbook took on the island of Gozo, which is part of the country of Malta. Now, Malta, let's go ahead and look at maps. Malta. So where is Malta? It's a very small country right off of Tunisia. But actually, I don't even know if Malta's a country. Is it a country? I don't know. There's a lot of small countries like Andorra right over here. But point being is that it's a very small country, and you're in and if you're an island smack dab in the middle of the Mediterranean, like Malta is, then that means Rome is probably interested in conquering you, just like Rome was interested in conquering everybody else, which means you get some Roman monuments. So here we've got an arch with Roman numerals, MD, CC, CC, IV. But this arch has a bit of a problem, which is that the Roman numerals on it are not correct. It's supposed to represent the number 1904. So let's talk about how. So the entire point of this exercise is that we want to learn how to convert Roman numerals to Arabic numerals and how to convert Arabic numerals to Roman numerals. Okay? So how do these work? So repeating a Roman numeral represents addition. So for instance, III is 1 plus 1 plus 1. So here, right, 1, this number is 3. 3 I's is 3. Okay? Now, only X, I, X, C, and M can be repeated. So I is 1, X is 10, C is 100, and M is 1000. And if you wanted the easy way to remember what is C and what is M, remember C for century, M for millennium. What is D? Excellent question. So now, so these are the powers of 10. Now, and these are the only guys who get to be repeated, okay? These are the only guys who get repeated. Now, we also have some in-between numbers, like V, which gives us 5, L, which gives us 50, and any guesses as to what D does now? Yep, 500 from Corrine. So if we look at this up here, this number, which was MD, that's okay, that's 1,000 plus 500 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1,000 plus 500 plus 400. And now we get to the last rule. Okay? We don't just simply write Roman numerals however you want. Like I can't write this. IMCD, right? I can't write it like that. I don't get that's not how it works. Yeah, 4. I got a bit enthusiastic in writing the zeros, my bad. You don't write them you write them from biggest digit, from the biggest value to the smallest value. So this is incorrect over here. But wait a second, what about IV? When you write from biggest to smallest, that's what represents addition. But if we put a number before from smaller to bigger, that's subtraction. So here what we're looking at is MD, CCCC, and then we have IV, so -1 and 5. Or the easy way to remember it is that basically the way it works is I, V, V, I, VI. You see, I knew playing Final Fantasy would come in handy at some point. So, anyway, so this is nice. So let's see. This is 1904. All right. So so here's the things. Only I, M, C, and M should be repeated. Right numerals decrease. To write a number that would otherwise be taking the repeating of a numeral 4 more times, so in other words, doing C, 4 C's in a row, we use a negation rule. right? The whole smaller. IV is -1 plus 5. Or, in other words, MCM XIV is 1,000, 100, 1,000, so 900, and then 10, and then 4. All right. So using these rules, take a gander as how to write 1904 and convert it into this, and match your Roman numerals to the correct Arabic numerals. So do these first two activities, just so that we can be clear as to how to do Roman numerals. Just to make sure that we're all working on the same familiarity. Because as you're learning right now, or remembering, Roman numerals are terrible, and there's a reason we don't use them anymore. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna make it so that the computer deals with it and we don't have to deal with it. But let's just get on the same page. So go ahead and work on activity 1 and 2, and then I will give you the answers to those. Okay? Laser, do you need some water? You sure? Okay. So let's take a look at this. So the correct Roman numeral for 1904, so we need 1,000 M. We need 900, which is CM, 100 minus M, just like we had above over here. And then 04 would be IB. Check me. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. So that is MCD. That should be, and by the way, I think it randomizes the order. So MCD, so 1,000, so D is 500. So 1,000, 100, 500, that means subtract 100 from the 500. So there, boom. Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna be cheeky over here, and this one is blah 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 8. Oh, it's the one that ends with 8. Sorry, still test taker at heart. Let's go ahead. So these end with 9. This one ends with 5. So MM, that's 2,000 DX. So 2,500 something. Sounds good to me. And MCMXC, so 9, and then so this is 99. Never be afraid to look for a shortcut if you feel you've got a sufficient understanding of what's going on. Okay. Unfortunately, this one is going to be a bit less of a shortcut. So now we're an expert, ostensibly we're experts of converting Roman numerals to numbers. And so let's do write a program that does it. What's wrong, Laser? Wait. I think it's, oh, he's working on a tangram puzzle of some kind. You know, I know. You might have to start. You might have to move the pieces and start over. Um, because that piece takes up such a large height, Laser. You might have to move things. It's not going to work. Ugh. Can't give him the attention he needs on that. So, all right. Let's go ahead and so this is ask a user to enter a Roman numeral, validate it to make sure it follows all the rules. If the Roman numeral is valid, convert it, and then print it out. All right, so we're definitely going to need two functions here. One to check if it's valid. Right? I'm just thinking about the best way to break this up. And you know what? I'll just simply assume that that it is valid until proven otherwise. And def convert. Convert a Roman numeral to Arabic numerals. And rather than returning true, I'm just going to return 0 right over here. Rather than passing, I'm just going to return 0 just to have, again, something that's going to compile and not crash. Okay, so let's do step 1. This part's fairly easy. Ask the user to enter a Roman numeral. Okay. Answer is equal to input, right? That's how we ask for user input. Please enter a Roman numeral. Oh, sorry, a Roman number. /t, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a tab just to make it look a bit prettier. Okay. And then I'll just print out the answer just to show that I'm just going to echo it out temporarily. Save and run. And there it popped up. And, oh, right, except I entered 50. What I need is L. Okay, cool. Okay, and then print out the Roman numeral and its Arabic equivalent. So we'll do that after we convert. Okay? So we're going to check if it's valid and only convert it if it's valid, because obviously we can't convert it if it's not valid, right? Makes sense? So that's why we have, and we're separating them into two functions so that we can compartmentalize everything, right? So I can go, oh, I'm working on this. Okay. The slash, you know what? I don't actually need the /t because of the way it works. If it's on console, it would look a bit prettier. You might need to try a different game, Laser, but it's okay to not do well, but you've got to try again. What about moving the I don't know. It is such a tough fit. Can you try a different game, maybe? Oh, I didn't know you could rotate it. That makes it much more difficult. But here you go. I got it. What about this guy? Oh, you can't rotate that one? Oh. Because then you could put that over there and put the big triangle in. So, that is very frustrating. Maybe if you swapped it with the other one. Oh, if if you keep rotating it, it will rotate. Sorry about that. He is. You got. Right? Okay, sorry about that. It's a game on PBS Kids. He's playing a train game. All right. A dinosaur train game. Thank you. All right, let's get back to work here. So, is valid Roman? So, how do we check if it's a valid Roman numeral? Well, first thing, we want to make sure that it has all of the appropriate digits in it. Okay, which is that. So basically, our first thing we need to do is check. Hey, did the user input things that are actually Roman numerals? So, valid Roman digits is equal to, so we're just going to make a string with all the valid Roman digits in it. Like what are the other ones? Right? X, so powers of 10. It's basically powers of 10s and halves of that. So 110 cm for century, millennium, right? And then random stuff like V for 5 for some reason, and L and D. I don't know. I don't know why they chose it, but those are valid Roman digits. So how can I check that basically that Roman has all these digits in it? Okay. Right? I can do that with a for loop. And what I can do is I can say for, I do have a 5. I have a 5 in there. I did the powers of 10s and then I did the 5s over there. Yeah, easy to miss. It's one big stream just kind of smushed together. So four letter or 4 digit in Roman. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to look at every letter in Roman. We can actually that's a great question, Lily. Lily asked, do we make sure it's uppercase or do we assume they input it correctly? Let's assume that it's in uppercase. And what we can do over here is that when they give us their answer, I can do this. I can say answer is equal to answer dot upper, and that will enforce, and this will create a new string based on what they input and put it in uppercase. And then that will store it in answer. So now answer is, and what we're going to be using as our Roman numerals is going to be in uppercase. Excellent question. But yes, we always have to make sure that things are case sensitive. So 4 digit in Roman, what I'm going to do, so for every letter in this input, I'm going to ask, hey, if digit in if digit in valid Roman digits. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if it's not in valid Roman digits. I don't think there is not a difference between uppercase I and lowercase I for Roman numerals, but we use uppercase letters for. So for every digit in the Roman, if the digit's not in the valid Roman digits, we can just say, well, you didn't. That's not a correct letter, so I'm going to go ahead and return false. And return false will just stop this in its track and just give false right back to the user. Okay. You don't have to go on. That's why, so when we're writing a Boolean function like this, one that says, is it valid or is it not valid, right? It's always easier to assume that it's correct and then show kind of by contradiction that it's not. You can try again, Laser. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Valuable lesson there. Okay. All right, so now what we need to do is we have to now see if we can't abide by the rules. Okay? So this first rule is only x, I, x, c, and m can be repeated. And m and v, l, and d should not be repeated. Now this part requires no need of dictionaries. It's the converting part where we're going to use dictionaries. So what we want to do is we want to count the digits and make sure that inside Roman, none of the digits inside Roman appear more than the specified number of times. Okay? So let's go ahead and work on that rule. Okay? So I'm going to share my code with you, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on that, and I'm going to take the time to probably try to get the kid set up on the TV, so he's not going to be so upset about not getting the answer right. Although I do sympathize. I do feel that way. All right. So breakout room time. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, come here. Yes, I know that there's a transcript. Okay, breakout rooms create automatically. And there's a lot of you, so.
What did you want us to do?
Great question. 1 second. So what I wanted to do was you to work on validating rule 2.
Gotcha. Cool.
So in other words, no more than 3 of I, X, C, and M, and no more than 1 of V, L, and D. Okay, and then feel free to try working on the other parts. Okay, you want to reload the page when and hit load code when we do that, but here, I will copy it, paste it into the text box right here. All right, so there you go. And now I'm going to invite you into breakout rooms. All right, Laser, would you like to watch Dinosaur Train on the TV? Wants to watch it on the TV. Oh, later today. How's that sound? Okay.
That's good.
I need to do a.
I want to list the names. I have hair.
I know. I know. I know. I'm fixing it.
Hey, you're there tonight? Well,
It's a season I haven't shown you yet. It's new to you. Okay. Okay, give me a second. Okay. We got him set up, so. Okay. So now let's share screen again. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So what we wanted to make sure was that we had is that we're going to be is that these only occur a certain number of times, and we can do this with by counting essentially everything in here. So if Roman, and I'm going to use the count word, and I could use a loop to go through everything, but this is a bit easier. If Roman dot count I is greater than 3, or let me make sure I've got the chat up, or Roman dot count. So if I occurs more than 3 times, or X occurs more than 3 times, or C occurs more than 3 times, or M occurs more than 3 times, or V occurs now that we're into the these, it's about them occurring more than once, or L occurs more than once. We'll be doing this, so we'll be. Is there a way to simplify this? And can they repeat more than 3 if they aren't all one after another? So making sure they're in order is in a different rule. is a different rule. Okay, so M V L or D is greater than 1. If any of those happen more than the specified number of times, which is a terrible way to do this, return false. Now, is there a way to simplify this? Well, because of the way I did this, I could do a kind of slice kind of thing over here, which I'll show you what I mean. Because I did, so I can say, hey, for tens in valid Roman digits, and then we want the first 4, so the first 4 of those, because those are our powers of tens, right? If Roman dot count tens is greater than 3, return false. So basically we look at I and ask, hey, does I occur more than once? Does 10 occur more than, does I occur more than 3 times? Does 10 occur more than 3 times? Does 100 occur more than 3 times? Does 1,000? Right? And then what I'd have to do for the other ones, for our 5s, is I'll just go over here and change it to from index 4. So, right, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to start at 4 and go to the end. We're going to call those 5s because that's what they are. They're the 5s, right? 5, 50s, and 500s. And if those occur more than once. Does that make sense, how I kind of simplified it like this? I mean, you could argue that I've not simplified it because I've now included a for loop, but it's certainly not going off the end of the page like like that. All right, so other question was, well, what about making sure that they decrease in value? Right? That's a bit trickier to do. Okay? So making sure that they decrease in values from left to right. Because what we need to do is we need to make sure that we don't that basically there isn't a kind of, so basically we need to make sure that the thing before us isn't bigger. But the issue comes up when we are getting into like the I's and the V, when we get into IV, because that is allowed. So writing values that the numbers that decrease in value from left to right is addition. To write a value that would otherwise be taking the repeating of 4 or more times is a negation rule. So as far as that other point, I think I'm going to put a pin in this right now and work on, let's see. So work on the negation rule, which says, hey, okay, we need to make sure that the smaller is to the left causes the sign on the number of the left be negative. I mean, we could be fine with the way it is. Writing numbers that decrease in order to left to right represent addition. Pointless. So, but you're right. What if I have what if I get MCCM or something like that? That's technically not right. But let's see. I think I'll worry about that in a bit later. All right, it says hint. You want to hint. You want to start using a dictionary to map each single Roman numeral character to the correct number. So we skipped that step. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'll go ahead and start that by putting it up here, right? And see if sometimes when you run into something like this, you're like, well, I know this should work, but let's move on. So let's go and create our dictionary. Roman to Arabic. I'll just call it RTA for Roman to Arabic because it is going to be a lot to type out otherwise. Is equal to, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dictionary from scratch like this. So the way this works is you put your key in, such as I, and then the value over here. So, and they're separated by a colon. Make sense? So this says I maps to 1. So if I see an I give you 1. Make sense? So, and then what we do is we do that for every digit. And we separate the keys by commas. Okay? $1,000, M for millennium, C for 100. The order in remember, the indices are all made up, the keys are all made up, and the order that for dictionaries doesn't matter. That's the big sacrifice when we use dictionaries. Nothing can be in order. We don't care about order anymore, or at least that the order which things occur. So I could put the M first, I could put the I first, I could put the V first. It doesn't really matter which one of these values goes, or which one of these keys occurs first. So V is 5. D, L. A dictionary is about as far from it shares a lot of similarities with a list. What it is that it's a list, but you get to make up whatever indices you want. If that makes sense. Here the indices are the letters. And okay. So there we go. I'm going to save it. Okay. So I didn't write anything syntactically wrong. So okay. So now let's go ahead and put a pause on this, and we're going to work on converting. Okay. Let's work on on seeing how we can convert these things. Okay. RTA is short for Roman to Arabic, because Roman to Arabic would be a lot of letters to type out. Okay, it is my Roman to Arabic dictionary. Okay, so now let's work on converting from a Roman letter to from Roman numerals to Arabic, and we're going to assume that what we're passing in here is a valid Roman value. Okay, now what we could do is that essentially we could put in something like this. So, and it's actually a lot more, because of the dictionary we have, it's a lot easier than it seems. Okay, so for digit in Roman, so for each digit in the Roman value, Arabic value is equal to, we're going to look up that digit in our Roman to Arabic dictionary. Does that make sense? We look inside our Roman to Arabic dictionary and say, hey, what is 5? Or what is V? Oh, it's 5? Great. And then what we're going to do is we are going to is equal to 0. We're going to say Arabic total is equal to Arabic, which for some reason I keep hitting the V, Arabic. Now, so now, and then rather than returning 0, we will return the Arabic total. So what's cool about this is that I'm going to print convert. Now we're not done yet. We actually got quite a bit to go. Okay. But in fact, we're going to have to do quite a bit of modification to the for loop to get this to work just right. So what we're going to need to do is we are going to look at convert, and we're going to convert our answer. Okay. So save and run. So I'm going to enter in X V I, which should be 16, and I get 16 out. That seems pretty crazy, right? But we really didn't put too much in. But the magic is this line where it says, hey, look at RTA, this dictionary defined up here. Oh, that's an X, that's a 10. Oh, that's a V, that's a 5. Oh, that's an I, that's a 1. So we add those all together and we get, and we just keep adding those individual values to the Arabic total. Okay. So, you got 1 back. Did you remember to put this part in? Because I had this first and then I wrote in this.
Thank you. That's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm. It's almost I know what mistakes students are going to make before they make them. It's because I've made these mistakes a lot. Trust me, I've made these same mistakes a lot. So I've just got this constant diagnostic just running my brain that says, did you remember to do this? Okay, and that just comes from making a lot of mistakes. Okay, so however, if I hit save and run on this again, I'm going to run this now for IV, which is going to give us, which should be 4, but it gives us 6. Now why? Because it just simply looks at everything and says, hey, if this is a value, give me just simply add it up. It doesn't take into account this 4th rule, which is the negation rule, right? Which is if a smaller number is to the left of a larger number, then the sign of the left flips. So if you have IV, then I flips. Yeah, our Arabic value stores the value from the dictionary. Now, I could have named it whatever. I could have just named it X, but I wanted to be explicit as to what it was. Which is why I use Arabic value and Arabic total. Okay. So how do we do this? So one thing is, what we're going to have to do is that we are going to have to, unfortunately, go by indices so that we can look ahead to the next index and say, hey, is the next index something that's bigger or smaller? So something along the line. So we're going to need to restructure this if statement. And I'm going to start off by giving you a pretty big hint here, which is I'm going to go ahead and use one of my favorite words, enumerate, Roman. And I'm going to give it an index as well, so I can use both the index and the digit without having to, go through that. And now also, this part is going to be a bit wonky at the end, and I'll explain why in a bit, why we do this when we get back. but I'm gonna do a slice. Actually, I'll explain it now, but okay, last digit is equal to Roman -1, Arabic total plus is equal to Arabic, and I'm gonna drop this in chat, don't you worry. Arabic total plus RTA So this is where I'm going to give you to start working on, because this is where we're going to get into some trickiness over here. Okay, so there's the function, the convert function updated, so you can drop it into whatever you want. I'll also hit the share code button over here, but let me explain what I just did over here. So this means I want to go run my for loop over everything but the last digit. That's what -1 means, right? If I wanted to run it over everything, that would be this, and I would actually, in that case, just leave it blank. But here, this is saying everything but the last thing in Roman I want everything but the last value. Now, why do I want everything in the last value? Well, because I'm going to be, for every item, I need to check the thing directly to the right of me to see, is it bigger? To know if I need to subtract myself. Okay, and since I'm checking to the right, since I'm checking one more index, if I try to do this for every item, when I get to the end, the last thing is going to check the thing to the right of it, which is going to be out of bounds, which doesn't exist, which is going to give us an error, and it would crash. So that's why I'm going up to this one. Now, I'm not checking to the right yet. That's your job. Okay? But what am I going to do? So Arabic value. So here it's going to work the same. The only question is whether I need to make this digit an Arabic value positive or negative based off of what the next item is. Now, as far as over here, because I didn't look at the last digit and it didn't get added in, well, we know the last digit is always going to be a positive value. It just is, because there's nothing to the right of it to be bigger than it. So it's always going to be positive. It's never going to subtract. So what I did is, now that I've gone through everything, I take the last digit and add it in manually. So grab the last digit. Sometimes you need to do, and whenever you're like working in an array and you're checking, or a list, and you're checking the next values, you always have to be cognizant of the fact that you can go out of bounds. All right. So that's why I did this so to avoid going out of bounds for you. So I've went ahead and shared this. So go ahead and take a look at this for about 5 minutes, okay? And then once this is done, I think I'll leave this as is so we can have enough time to move on to the next problem, okay? So we won't finish is valid just simply because of time constraints. Okay, so let me go ahead and get everybody into breakout rooms. And again, I've dropped it into chat, and apparently this has bugged out on me. That's fantastic. Great job, Zoom. You've done a great job. Task manager. Come on, task manager. Oh my.
Wait, so right now it can only do 2 digits?
Oh no, it can do all the digits. Sorry, I had to restart Zoom. It can do all the digits, not just 2. I'm just saying that what you need to do is you've got to look ahead. All right?
Well, I'm saying right now, if you type in like XVI, for some reason it gives me an error.
It will give you an error
Yeah.
in the code I just gave.
Uh-huh.
Key error, XV on line 26. Oh, duh. I did a bit too big. I did a slice, not the last index. My bad. I was on. This is the issue when you type while you're chatting. Let me go ahead and drop this in chat again. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so just delete that colon that was here. Okay. Very
You're
good.
not sharing your screen.
Of course. Just delete this colon over here. I made a mistake. I was talking while I was typing and did the exact same thing I did up there. So I grabbed a slice rather than just the single value.
What's different?
I deleted a colon right here. That's the difference.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Here it is in chat. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and separate you into breakout rooms again. Create, boom, open all rooms. So try your best to complete convert. You want something to eat while he watches. I'll be doing that while you guys work on this.
I didn't tell you. I forgot my pepper.
What? What you want to eat? I'm in a rush. I think this might be the last one. Mama's awake. Operation went okay. Okay, so all the rooms are closed. So let's go ahead and knock this out. So what we need to do is make sure that the next value, basically if the next value is bigger than this value, then we are subtracting. So if Arabic value is less than the next value, so what is the next value? Well, that's the Roman. So let's go ahead and break this up a bit. Next digit is equal to Roman index plus 1, right? So this is what would give us an out of bounds exception if we didn't cut it off over here. So we get the next digit, and I'll say the next value is equal to, and I could do this all in one line, it would just look terrible, RTA of next digit. Okay. If we are we are less than the next value, the value to the right of us, then we are going to take the value we have and subtract it instead. And the way we can do subtraction is by adding a negative. RTA again is our Roman to Arabic dictionary. So Arabic value is equal to Arabic value times -1. And that will flip it. Save and run. Let's go ahead and see. So MCIV should be 1104. Now there's, okay, so there are a couple of things that probably aren't right with this, such as, which is probably why it's a popular interview question, because does IM really work? Are you returning multiple values here? I will get you something to eat in a few minutes later, okay? I gave him a snack and now he says he's still hungry. So too many values to unpack. Are you returning too many values? That's typically what it means. Or here is my answer for that though. I'd have to see what you wrote in order to figure that out, and we are running short on time and I want to do the next one. You probably forgot to enumerate. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do the other way around. So how do we do the other way around? And the answer is we subtract a whole lot. We do it greedily. Okay? So here we're going to use a special type of dictionary called an ordered dictionary. It's going to preserve the order of the keys, right? Normally I said with maps and dictionaries, we don't care about the order of the keys. Well, ever since Python 3.6, it does preserve the order. Yeah, if you're getting too many values to unpack, then you probably forgot about enumerate over here. But I did drop what I have for the convert in chat. So let me go ahead and work on this. So how do we convert it from Arabic numerals to Roman numerals? We take the hint that they're giving. So here it says, if we get 100, we're going to do M. If we see a 900, that's a CM. If we see a D and if we see a 500, that's going to give us D. 400 is CD. 100 is C. Now, why these values? Because those are the regular values we have plus the special subtraction values that we need. So, for instance, we want to look at, yes, 90. I'm almost done with class laser. What did I input? I input 16, I believe, or I put in an IM to get this. And then before that, I put in, I think, 1104. So anyway, L 50. So I'm putting in basically the values and their exceptions. So right, 10 before 100, 50, 10 before L, and then we need 10 itself. Then we need 4, 5, and 9. And this should look a lot like, and the answer to this, believe it or not, is a lot like we were doing for coin sums. Now, okay? Which is what we're gonna do is that, so I'm gonna save it and run it, make sure it works. Okay, syntax is still good. Okay, def convert Arabic. So we take in an Arabic number, and what we're gonna say is, this is gonna be pretty interesting. While Arabic, and I'm going fast here because again, there's only so much time left in the lecture. I know people have other lectures after this. So while Arabic is greater than 0, what I'm going to do, over here is I need output. This is my Roman. So I'm going to use the accumulation pattern with a string. I'm going to do while, and I'm going to return Roman. And now for key in, yeah, let me look at this ordered dictionary. Oh yeah, I don't want to name that. I'm just going to name this output instead because we already have a Roman, and that's the dictionary we just created. For key in Roman, print key for right now, just to test to make sure that it's going to work like I think it does. So convert 100. So save. Yep, and so it prints out all these values, all the keys that we put in. Okay? So for key, while key is greater than our Arabic value, I know this is me doing that annoying professor thing where I'm going from the beginning to the end and not really explaining in between. But I want to kind of show you the answer here. So while key is greater than Arabic, Arabic minus Roman, Arabic equals Arabic minus Roman, Arabic. Sorry. No, Arabic is equal. Output is equal to Roman key and okay. That did not apparently work. Oh, because I created an infinite loop. I did the wrong way. There we go. So crashed after runtime. So yeah, well, key is less than Arabic. There we go. 100 XC. Yep. There we go. Now let's do 587. Okay. What in the world did I just do here with the last 3 minutes of class? Because I wanted to explain, I wanted to get the answer out so I could explain it. Okay. Let's go ahead and rename this Arabic to ATR, Arabic to Roman. For okay. So for every key in Arabic to Roman, so basically we're looking at 1,000, then 900, then the other one. While that key is smaller than the Arabic value, we can remove it. Now, because we're going from the biggest value, I'm going to say, hey, I put in 587. Is 1,000 bigger than 587? No. Okay, go to the next value. Is 900? No. 500? Okay. Let's subtract 500. Let's go ahead and put out a D because there's 500 in a 587. That's what this does. We'll put out the D. And then what we do is we subtract 500 from that value, because if we didn't subtract it, we would keep printing out D's like there's no tomorrow. And so basically, and how do we get the repeats? Well, like if I put in 30, it's going to go, okay, is 30 equal to 10? Sorry, is 30 equal to 10? Sorry, is 10 less than or equal to 30? Yes, it is, so subtract 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 20? Yes, it is, so put out another X. And then is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is, so put out another X. We're at 0, and then we eventually iterate through everything else, and we're done. Okay. So that is the end of our lecture for today. I will go ahead and share the code. Don't worry about these last couple questions over here. But part of the reason this is a very popular interview question is because it's got layers. Lots and lots of layers to how you can do it. This is a great question that is great practice no matter what kind of level of experience you have. Now, a couple things. So class is dismissed, but if you want to stay behind for just a couple of administrative notes, that's fine. So first off, next week we will start with Monte Carlo approximations. Monte Carlo approximations will be on the final exam. So just be aware of that. And we'll go into those. It will be very entertaining. I try to make Monte Carlo approximations very entertaining because it will teach you never to get into a game of chance with me. It will teach you how to do statistical analysis and kind of recognize scams. It's a lot of fun. The next thing is that just if you're looking for an idea for a final project, and again, you don't need to start really looking yet, but it's worthwhile that if you like playing video games, if you've considered ever creating a mod, I would accept a mod as a final project. All right? And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. So, but if you play video games and you like video game modification, writing your own mod for a video game is definitely a final project. No, it would not have to be written in Python. Be written in whatever you want. A final project does not care what your for a final project, we do not care what you write it in. All right. I've done people have done Discord bots in the past as a final project, which is to say, yes, you can do a Discord bots, a bot. We'll start to get into what we can do for final projects, but you can make your own game, you can make mods to a game, you can make your own kind of hello world project in like an industrial strength kind of computing gaming environment like Unreal or Unity. You could do something that's combined with another class's final project. Really, I'm pretty much open to anything. All I care about is that with the final project is that you learn something valuable and you learn how to take a big project. It's also another idea of it is to also be able to give you a chance to start creating a portfolio of things that you have done. All right. I unfortunately won't be able to take things after I'm not going to be able to take any additional demos. This is a team project only if you want it to be. You have the option of making it a team project. You can do it by yourself. You can do it with other people. Up to you can be a group project up to 3 people. Just keep in mind that the more people you have, the more work I expect to be done. But yes, you can have more people in a project.
Professor,
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know I won't be in class on Tuesday. I have a funeral.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Just be sure to watch the recording. I understand.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Professor. Have a great day.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Joanna, I don't really have time for demos now, but Joanna, I remember what happened. I'm interested in knowing what happened. Do you have time later tonight, Joanna? Does 6 o'clock work for you? Okay, I can do 6. Then I will meet you at 6 o'clock if that's okay. Okay. Thank you for attending class today.